All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer, and dark bishop, or I should say dark archbishop, since that is my title. Now, today I want to kind of talk to you today about personal trials, tribulations, and tests. Think of it more as your everyday turmoil. Okay. Every philosopher from Plato to Marcus Aurelius, hell, even if you get into public figures such as, let's go with Napoleon or Adolf Hitler. Hell, how about Joe Biden, today's world? Hmm. How about that little controversy and dogma that you face while following Donald Trump in the campaign against Joe Biden? The Republicans versus, say, the Democrats. How many times do they keep attacking themselves, each other, trying to slander each other, to make themselves look good? Okay? But let's dwindle this down into you, the individual. Okay? The individual practitioner. A lot of times when we look at religion, we think certain religions fit us. We think that certain philosophies or ways of life fit us. They may do. They certainly do fit us certain ways. I spent my life as a warlock. I spent my life as a Satanist up until about 6 years ago when I dedicated myself to necromancy. And I started learning about the past. I started delving into anthropology, thanatology, sociology, not just the medical aspects of necromancy and the historical, mythological, and folkloric traditions of necromancy worldwide. And what's interesting to see is the commonalities and the flaws of said traditions. Every tradition today, from temples to churches, ensnare you with their dogma, forgetting about the past orthodoxies. So today I'm going to play the Antichrist. I'm going to play the devil card today. All right, as people are going past my door. Love it. Man, I love that. Perfect timing. So, anyways, so today I'm going to play that demon card. I'm going to play that Antichrist and that devil card for you because I got no issues being the bad guy, and I've spoken this in the past. So today I'm going to give you a bunch of scriptures coming from the JCI, okay, the Judo Christian Institute. I want you to see the duality here, but at the same time, the truth, okay, about dogma. When people get into, say, for an example, the JCI perspective, they start buying into that dogma. And the reason for that is this is the entrapment. They welcome you with open arms. Every church does this. They welcome you with open arms. Okay. Then they start doing Bible studies. Okay. This kind of shows you a pattern of the different soul types. Okay. And in Christianity, there's only two soul types. Whereas in witchcraft, say Constantinos's book, the Nocturnal Witchcraft, speaks of four soul types within the equal armed cross definition. Okay? But there are many soul types out there. And if you actually take the time to study humanity, you'll understand that there are those that are considered to be heretics, okay, heretics, those that break the law, but also are considered to be honorable, okay? And then you got the attributes of those who lie, steal, and betray others, okay? You got those who think and believe that they are doing right. These are the fanatics, okay? Now, what is a fanatic or a zealot? A zealot is somebody that is 100% fealty, okay? Deperization, okay? If you think about it, these people are so hard up when it comes to religion that it does not matter how much truth you drop in their lap from history, archaeology, anthropology, no matter what, even world history, okay? But you got to remember that history is written by the victors, okay? Written by the victors, and that's what I'm saying here. So I was thinking about this, and today I ended up getting up and I was going down memory lane and started thinking about why did I become a minister to begin with? What was it about that title that interested me? Was it because an apostolic minister said, hey, you are good at this. You're a good listener. Or the fact that so many in the Wiccan and pagan communities saw me as an elder. So I ended up going back over the last week and just contemplating, reflecting. Correct, Pharaoh Stiller. Black Ops. The Greys, Murdoch. Precisely. So this morning I ended up going back to this church where this minister, this apostolic minister, had introduced me to the ministry all those years ago, about 12, 13 years ago. And it was interesting because of the fact that, no, actually, it was not 13 years ago. It was actually 14 years ago. Surprise. Because it was around 2011 that I became an archdeacon. So, and then 2013, a ordained clergyman. Okay. So, yeah, it's been about 14 years, about 13, 14 years. So, yeah. And so, anyways, I was thinking about this dogmatic aspect of history and how people continuously feed into the dogma, the drama. I can't tell you how many people keep coming to me and saying, hey, I hope I can trust you with this, or I hope that you don't say anything if I tell you this. Do you know what so and so is saying about you, or do you know what these groups are doing? What is your thoughts on this or that? This is worldly things, okay? Things that don't matter to somebody who is, well, basically reflecting inward, okay? Think of the trials and the turbulence that you face in your lifetime. Recently, I had a breakup with my ex, my now ex, the mother of my son, okay? This is considered to be a tribulation. It is considered to be a test, a trial. But also, it is something that is considered a hindrance because it kind of leaves you backtracking and it leaves you wondering, did I do something wrong? Did I miss something along the way? What is it about the journey that I need to reflect on so that it does not happen again? This is stuff that goes on way too often. And when religion is involved, things get murky. And I'm talking murky, like in mud water. Okay? Look at a mud puddle in your dooryard and you'll understand what I mean by murky. Okay? After a good rain, look into that mud puddle. You will not see the bottom. It's because these ministers are so full of shit. All these temples and churches today are full of shit because so many are putting forth their own thoughts, their own version of their religion. You look at a while back, I did a video at the request, the behest of a left hand path practitioner, John Ramirez. Okay. And I've done 2 videos on this guy. This is an example of something that I discussed in the past. He said in just about every video the age that he got into occultism, the age or the amount of time, I should say, that he was in occultism to the time that he became an ordained minister or got into Christianity. But he also stated, when did he meet his wife? You see, all of these factors that I just named off have changed in every single video that he does. He claims to have been a Satanist, when in fact, if you look at the dangers of Santeria in the occult, you can look this up on YouTube. Okay? This is an actual video. His own words. He was never into Satanism. In fact, he got into Santeria, an African Caribbean tradition, mostly spoken of and practiced within the Latino population, before getting into Palo Mayombe, another practice. But a lot of people get Palo Mayombe mixed up with Palo Monte because both of these practices are similar. One is solely strictly about rituals of black magic, whereas the other one is more spiritual and deals with the Orisha, the spirits. Okay, and a lot of people don't realize that. So it wasn't until his first book came out that he suddenly became an ex-devil worshiper. He became an ex-Satanist. And he's not the only Christian out there claiming to have been an ex-Satanist. There's actually quite a few, from females to males. And all it is popularity. It's about them. So by the time you get into a religious tradition, you're being fed their doctrines. You're being fed that these gods, let's say for an example, let's use Jehovah. Okay, let's use Jesus as an example. Just an example. About 13 to 15 years ago, I was invited to a church, First Apostolic Church of Brewer, Maine. 14 years ago, I had just gotten back into Maine after going down to Tucson, Arizona. I had come back, was invited to this church, and I had this minister, Wade Townley, sit there and he told me this little entrapment. Okay. Number one, you can't do it on yourself. You can't do it by yourself. But then he said, he's the only way. He's the only one that can help you through it. You see where you have to depend upon a deity to help you through things. But at the same time, You're being made helpless to serve on your knees because supposedly you can't do something by yourself. Do we forget the words of Napoleon where he says education and enlightenment is the way to go? Self mastery, even. You have to master your emotions, your feelings, the way you reply to things. But how do you self master if you're caught in this snare, this trap? You see, the Christian Bible says that when you get into a relationship, a man must leave his mother and his father and cleave unto his own wife, and they shall become one flesh. So you see, this means that you cleave unto your better half, okay? And here you produce children, offspring, okay? But yet, if you go into Ephesians or even Colossians, it tells you to be understanding with your wife. Husbands, do not be bitter with your wives. Just like wives are supposed to lean unto their own husbands. The Bible also says that if you lay with a woman and you go into that woman, she becomes your property. She becomes your property, your wife. Now, this is interesting because here's the snare. Is she your property or is she your equal? How are you supposed to cleave unto your wife if she is your property? Would you marry a book? How about an AC, an air conditioner? How about a kitty? You see the point. You see, this is the snare factor that they do. And this is what I want you to think about because even on your job, even when you're working, you're hit with hindrances. You're hit with vileness of coworkers. The elders play mind games. Oh, I'm going to offer you a position, but yet I'm going to give it to somebody else. You see the emotional torment here. It's like being with somebody that's only interested in using you for their betterment. You see, this is called self interest. People forget that we go through journeys. So I kind of want to I'm going to give you these scriptures. Psalms 46, verse 5, Proverbs 31, verse 25, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11, as, Ecclesiastes 26, verses 9 and 10, Matthew 7, verse 13, Isaiah 30, verses 20 and 21, Ephesians chapter 4, verses 22 through 24, Proverbs 14:1, 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, Revelations chapter 2, verse 10, Galatians chapter 6, verses 4 and 5, Corinthians chapter 3, verses 9 and 10, Luke chapter 8, verse 17, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 20 and 21, Mark 10, verse 45, Isaiah 40, verse 31, Psalms 116, verse 15, and Jeremiah 29, verse 13. Okay? Now, I understand that's a lot to overcome there, but you can actually look these up for yourselves on Google. Okay? Even if you have a Bible lying around, like I'm a multi-faith minister, okay? I practice more than one tradition, okay? Because I I ended up with a doctorate of divinity because I my area of expertise is religion and philosophy, okay? So I have a better, clearer understanding than most when it comes to entrapments. These scriptures right here are just some of the entrapments that are in the Bible. Okay. And I want you to think about the mockery of this because even if you go back to the book of Genesis, to Abraham and Sarah, his wife, she giggled and he chastised her. We see this today with women today not wanting to be loyal to a man. They don't want to be tied down or or married these days, but instead they want a whore around. Okay, I've spoken in the past how my now ex has cheated on me 3 times with 3 different men, and then wonder why don't you want to be affectionate with me? Why do you not want to lay with me? Hmm, I wonder what do you think if I did this? Well, number one, how much guidance have I given you that you just basically spit right back in my face? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking about a woman that literally ended up with owing 2 different banks $2,000 each. That's $4,000 that this my ex ended up having to pay back. Second of all, her driving record. She ended up with an SR22, which basically means driving without insurance. Get, she had so many accidents within a few months that she should have had her license revoked. But instead of telling her, doing that, she ended up with an SR22. And when you gave her advice, don't tailgate. For an example, do not tailgate. Things of logic, simple logic, okay? Don't tailgate the person in front of you. Give yourself enough time to stop. Put on your blinker so people know which direction you're going, okay? Give them that heads up. Not wait until you're on the fucking road and then hit the blinker and go, oh, I'm turning right. Wow. And then wonder why she had so many accidents. Okay. Women today aren't worth your time. And more women are waking up wondering, why are men not interested in me? Perhaps it's your demeanor, your disloyalty. Maybe your reputation has gotten around. Wow. You see, a, a young man once told me, and he looked at me and he said, women are fickle creatures. Women are fickle creatures, and you have to be patient and understanding with them. It is the same thing when you look at the trials and tribulations that you go through in life. So here it is. When you look at your path and what you're going through, how you react to things determines your growth, your maturity level. Okay. Now, we all know that women mature faster than men. At least that's the word of things. Okay. But in a religious section, in a religious perspective, there are 3 soul types, 2 of which are already known: children of light and children of darkness, the sons of Belial and the sons of Michael. This is going as far back as the scroll of Amrit in the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient Sumerian texts, ancient Mesopotamian texts. The Dead Sea Scrolls was a bunch of scrolls made up by supposed politicians, even that of spirits. Look at the Ten Commandments. Okay, look at the Ten Commandments, and this is something that I think needs to be addressed. This is something that needs to be addressed. Today, I felt the need to go back to this church, so I did. And Wade Townley's brother was there preaching about the cross. The cross. And how you see two aspects of this. Exactly, and you see where I'm already going. Now, here's the thing. In the old days, he was preaching about, and I quote, how sacrifices, the book of Leviticus, okay? The book of Leviticus, the animal sacrifices, the sin offerings, if you will, was the old way of doing things. And this is, according to him, this is where you push off that mercy. The mercy comes without getting the full redemption. But yet, according to him, today, the New Testament is that their God, the Son of God, Jesus of Nazareth, the man, came to bleed for others, to pay for the world's sins. It became a symbol to which all Christians live by. Ironic, isn't it? How ironic is it that even Pharaoh Stiller here is, as as I'm sitting here thinking about this myself, and I did this when this was going on this morning. My mind went, okay, you're talking that it's a symbol, right? It's a symbol. It's a symbol. Hmm. Does that not make it idol worship? So basically, you're telling your flock to commit sin, to go against your Ten Commandments. Is it not written in the Ten Commandments? Do not worship idols in heaven above, on the earth, or in the earth below? That's Exodus and Deuteronomy. Hell, even in Hebrews, it repeats this. How many of these ministers preach that aspect? How many preach the Ten Commandments? And yet, supposedly, this God, this Son of God, Jesus, in the book of Revelations, chapters 2 through 5, spoke to the nine churches. Was it nine churches? I want to say it was nine. No, it was the seven churches. Okay? Seven churches. Spoke to each one of these churches. Hmm. Throughout the Bible, this God supposedly talked to many of these leaders. Hmm. And yet he's telling them to go out and minister. And I flash back to 2013. I had just gotten back from Texas. I had just come back to Maine from Texas. I came back an ordained minister. And there was this bishop from Prince Edward Island visiting Wade Townley's church, and he tried to force his way onto me. Hmm. Are you preaching? All I did was just speak the scripture because it was something that Wade Townley once said. No matter what practice that you do, be it Satanism, necromancy, whatever, always back it up with multiple things. Where does it say it in the Bible? And that's all I did with this guy, and it made him he blew right off his fucking rocker. You see, Christians hate it when you correct them, when you critique them. They hate it so fucking bad that they will shun you. They will call you they will call you names like Antichrist, devil, evil. Does it make you evil because you choose to learn from the past? Does it make you evil because you want to grow or mature? Hmm. Become enlightened? Or because you dared to question their doctrines? And so when we go into, and I'm going to kind of bring this up here because this is something that I think is important. Colossians chapter 1, verse 20. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. Wow, right? Okay, right here. Right here. Again, we're talking the cross. What's the cross represent? How many religions actually use the cross? Go back into ancient Gaelic systems, and you have the equal armed cross, or known today as the Celtic cross. Hmm. Romans, the Vatican, when they do exorcisms, they have these. I forget the name of it, but it's like many different crosses in one. Today in Satanism, going as far back as Anton Zander LaVey, you have the inverted cross. Hmm. The horns being thrust upward. You see, the pattern here is that things don't change. Even Anton Zander LaVey said, and I quote from the Satanic Bible, or not from the Satanic Bible, but the Book of Satan. And I believe he also said in the Satanic Notebook as well, if I'm not mistaken, is the world doesn't change. It's just the same fucking events being done, wrapped up with a pretty new bow. And then then you have the gall to sit there and ask me personally, what, why do you hate this fucking world? I don't hate the world. I hate the people in the world because you choose to stay in stagnation, believing what you're told rather than learning for yourselves. This is called laziness, sloth. Do we learn nothing from the seven sins? The seven fallen angels, if you will. Sin, sloth, laziness. Wow. Okay. But yet, the one thing that I want to bring up to you right here, right now, is Galatians chapter 4, or chapter 6, rather, verses 4 and 5. Verse 4 says, but let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. Interesting how that is, right? You can't do it yourself, but yet he's the only way. Wow. He's the only way, but you can't do it yourself. Huh. Follow the cross. Pick up your cross. Pick up your crucible. Carry your cross on your back. This is what ministers preach. And yet, verse 5 says, "For every man shall bear his own burdens." His own burdens. Amazing, right? And that was Galatians chapter 6, verses 4 and 5. So, I mean, think about this for just a moment. We all go through trials, we all go through crucibles. So, what makes you think a God is going to help you? If you can't help yourself, what makes you think that a God is going to help you? I can't tell you how many times people have come to me in a number of different religious perspectives and said, "Hey, why is my magic not working? Why is such a god, a demon, a jinn, a loa, whatever? Why are they not helping me?" Did you ever stop to think that it may be something that you need to overcome? Did you stop to think that maybe you're going through this to learn a lesson? Or maybe you just have to do the work yourself? Ironic, right? And yet that's right in the Christian Bible, King James Version. Although this is actually the teacher's reference edition, though, of the teacher's what was it? The New King James Version. But I want you to think about this. You don't need religion to overcome the obstacles in your life. You don't need a religion to improve yourself. Look at the 48 laws of power or the 33 strategies of warfare by Robert Greene. How about The Art of War by Sun Tzu? Pick up War and Peace, a very classic book of Russian literature. Teaches you what it's like to be in politics. Look at how much is out there that can teach you to evolve on your own. Right now, you are considered to be the microcosm, the little God. Through your own deeds and your own works, you can inspire and grow and mature and evolve into the macrocosm, the big God that you're meant to be. Hell, even in, I think it's either First Corinthians or Second Corinthians, it says, "You show me your dead works, and I will show you my good works with my good deeds." Hmm. So what? So what is good versus evil? It's your actions, right? If you go with the flow, everything's dandy. But as soon as you dare to question, you're dubbed evil. You serve Satan. Wow. I don't know about you. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with serving Satan. Why? Because of the fact that at least I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm evolving through what I am learning. And I get to apply that knowledge to my life to better myself and that of my followers. Think about that for just one moment. Think about it and see where you are. Look at the past. Look at the past and where you came from. What trials, tests, and tribulations did you have to go through to get to where you are today? Now look at today. Are you any better for it because of what you've been told, what you've been taught? Or can you evolve by taking that step out that fucking door and lean on your own self? It's called self-reliance. Only you can discern that. All right? Two rules I always live by. Number one, always back up whatever you preach with multiple sources. Every time I got at least 1 to 3 of them around me. So always back up what you preach with multiple sources. That's number one. And number two, always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for what you say and do to the public, not just the fact that you represent those that you serve, that you have aligned yourself with. You are responsible. Even Anton Zander LaVey said in the Satanic Bible, the 9 satanic statements, Satan represents responsibility to the responsible. Guess I am a heretic. I am a heretic. Oh well, I'm okay with that. Have a good one. Pharaoh Staler, thanks for jumping on here with me. And for those of you who jump on afterwards, thank you. Means a lot. And for those of you who have liked this video and want to subscribe or feel the need to become notarized of my next videos, feel free to subscribe and hit that notarization button. All right? Have a good one.